In the past, when you wanted to find a place to rent, you usually turned to the local newspaper. Typically, newspapers provided not much to go on, usually a short description about 5 lines long. But today, websites can provide dozens of photos and long descriptions, even virtual tours, so you can actually rent a place sight unseen. However, this newfound convenience has opened new ways for scammers to trick you out of your money. As we learned from Dan Doherty, all you need to run a rental scam is to log on to the World Wide Web and create a few email accounts with bogus names.
A lot of them use .uk email addresses, so yahoo.uk. What we're finding now that AOL opened up their emails to be free, and of course Gmail is free, and even Yahoo is free. You're seeing a lot of scammers use @Gmail accounts, @AOL accounts, and now @Yahoo accounts.
The way the scam works is the scammers go to rental sites and copy rental listings including the photos, and then repost them on free sites like Craigslist for a much lower amount with their new bogus email addresses. Then they pull up a seat and wait for the emails to start coming in.
So let's say the original amount of rent was $1,200. They will post it on Craigslist for $600, and maybe it's in Los Angeles, which is a great place, or Malibu, or something like that. They get lots of emails, and they won't put a phone number. If they put a phone number there, it goes to an answering machine that they never pick up. The way that scam works is they pretend they're the owner, and now you have all of these renters or potential tenants emailing this individual because it's a great deal. It's $800. So greed is involved here. And they may get 100 email leads within a 3-day period because the price is so great.
The scam not only happens to private owners, it can affect property managers as well.
I was shocked this last summer at the number of tenants who would call us and say, I see your ad, but I also see it listed for rent by the owner for $500 cheaper per month. What's going on? Why is there the discrepancy? That was very common, very common. And there's no way to stop it because these scammers will just go onto Craigslist, for example. They'll copy your ad completely. Pictures, the description, everything. They'll repost their own ad and just give their own contact information. And tenants will do that. So if a tenant sees this screaming deal on the internet, at half the price of what it should be, well, it goes back to the old, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
The scammers normally come out of foreign countries that make it almost impossible to catch the scammers. They are located offshore and beyond the jurisdiction of U.S. law enforcement.
Then what happens is the individual or the scammer in Nigeria says, I'm a business person, I'm traveling for the next 2.5 months, I will not be able to show you the property, but I'll send you some keys. Please feel free to go to the house and go in. But before I send you the keys, please send me $2,000 deposit. Wire it here. If you do not like the house, I will give you your money back. And we see a lot of potential residents sending that money to them, either never receiving keys or receiving keys that are completely fake.
They're always out of the country. The things to look for is the owner's always in Africa. Half the time the owner happens to be a missionary. For whatever reason, they always pick the fact that they're missionaries. So I'm a missionary, I'm in Africa, I've got a property management company working with the home, that's why you see the sign in the yard, but I'm not happy with them. So I'm trying to lease it out on my own. So that's how they get away from the signs in the yard, who's this company managing it. Don't worry about them, says the owner, the supposed owner, just deal with me. The owner will often transpose with emails back and forth a number of times, send them pictures. They may be pictures off the internet, they may be complete fraudulent pictures, and then they'll ask them to, I really want to get a lease, you sound like a nice person, send me a deposit, certified funds, and I'll get you the lease and we'll get it wrapped up, and then we'll just get rid of this lousy management company. And then we'll get a call 2 weeks later and say, hey, I was dealing with the owner of this property and suddenly they've disappeared, I think I'm renting your property. So people are getting suckered into this more than you'd think. It's very common.
If something doesn't look quite right, it probably isn't.
One, use your best judgment. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. For example, if you're looking for a house and it's $600 a month, but you know that everything else in that area is going for $2,000 a month, that's the first red flag. If you are getting responded to from an individual that it has a lot of misspellings, they say they're a reverend, or they're a doctor, or they're a businessman, or they're working for the United States government, for the World Health Association. A lot of them say that. Just things like that. Keep an eye on it. Then do some research. Google it. because most likely you're not the only victim, and other people probably have said, wow, did this person try to scam me?
A listing posted on PickRent raised many red flags and caused us to look elsewhere on the internet for duplicates. We found the same rental ad for properties in Utah, Miami, and New York. Not only was the reposted ad poorly worded, it actually talked about ski lift views for rental in Miami, Florida.
If you're dealing with an owner, you need to make 100% sure that they are in fact the owner of the property. The only real way to do that is to go on to the assessor's office and their website, and you can confirm right there if that is in fact the name of the owner.
As scammers become more sophisticated in their scams, they also have become more brazen.
This scam artist actually went out to the property, told the tenant, this prospective tenant, he'd meet him at the property.
Right.
He went out and somehow broke into the property, went inside, signed a lease with the tenant, some fake lease, collected their money, and told him he'd get them keys later. So they were living in the property. And they called, the next day they called the management company to come pull the sign out of the yard. The management company called the police, wondering who's living in the house. So it's a scary thing. It's a very prevalent thing right now.
So what can be done if you find a scammer?
And Craigslist won't do a thing about it. Either they won't or they can't. I mean, we've contacted police, we've contacted the FBI, the FCC, and their hands are tied. I mean, it's basically people out there copying and pasting ads. It's not, that in and of itself isn't a crime yet, so there's no oversight.
As scammers get smarter, rental websites like PickRent are creating free tools to detect bogus rental listings to make the online rental industry safer. We have created a rental scam detection tool that asks a series of questions to calculate the likelihood of a rental scam. We are also working with other rental websites to create a large database of known email scammers that you can check against.